Right, let us continue in the 48, the Memches Kinyonei Torah. Yesterday we started a bit of a Hagdama to understand the 48 Kinyonei Torah, and we did one of them. Today I'm going to attempt to do a few more, Be'ez Hashem. And the truth is, when we started the Mishnah, we didn't actually read through the whole Mishnah, because I don't think there's a point in me reading through 48 very, very quickly, Kinyonei Torah. As we go through them, we will try to mention them and try to give any explanation that we possibly can for each one. So we are saying that the Torah is acquired specifically with 48 Devarim, 48 ways to be koina the Torah. Yesterday we did one of them, which was Talmud, which we explained wasn't just simple learning, but rather was more either through a Rebbe or through Chazorah or any moment that you have, some of the explanations we gave yesterday. Moving on to the next one that the Mishnah mentions that we're going to get to over here, and that is the Mishnah says specifically B'shmiya Sa'oizen. B'shmiya Sa'oizen. So obviously B'shmiya Sa'oizen literally means with your ear. We're listening with your ear, which again, what does that exactly mean over here? We're listening with your ear. So, for example, we say this in Avos or Ava Rabbah, which Shavuos is the time of the Ava Rabbah, the Avos sugya. V'seim b'libeinu lahavan lahaskel lishmoya lilmoid ulalamoid. The first thing before anything is the shmoya. You have to be able to listen. Lishmoya comes before lelamed, which is very, very important. It doesn't mean only to listen to the Torah from your rebbeim, but even the Torah that you hear from your friends. We've spoken about that in previous Mishnayos as well. That the milah of listening to Torah from your friends is also incredible. Sometimes it's hard for us to listen to Torah from our friend, because who is he to say Torah? My Rebbe, I get it, but from him? The answer is no, right? It's a chacham halomid b'kol adam, and therefore that's why it's important for a person to learn from everyone, and you have to learn how to listen. There's a Mordechai Rabbeinu Yonah in Shari Tshuva. Rabbeinu Yonah says, "Kashay Yishma Musa HaChachamim," and he's talking about specifically by Musa. It's not only by Gemara or by Halacha, but even by Musa. You have to listen to Musa. Yakshav Yishma v'Yichnam Yaksav Tshuva. So Rabbeinu Yonah seems to learn that a prerequisite for a person to do Tshuva and to makabel the Musa is to listen. Right? We always say, "By Yishma Yisroi," the Torah says. Now, what does that mean? By Yishma Yisrael, what did he hear? So Rashi says he heard Kriyas Yamsuf, for example. Well, the whole world heard about Kriyas Yamsuf. Everybody heard about Kriyas Yamsuf, right? But Yisrael acted upon it. He didn't hear, he really heard. As they say, he pressed enter. You can write into your computer as much as you want. You don't press enter, you don't press save, nothing's going to happen. You can send a text message, you don't press send, nothing's going to happen. That's what Yisrael did. He acted upon the hearing, which is why it's important for that case. But right before Rosh Hashanah, the Chofetz Chaim was giving a drasha about tshuva. One of his talmidim, his name was Reb Shalom, said to his friend Reb Elchanan, who was Reb Elchanan Wasserman at the time, after they just heard a shir about tshuva in Elul before Rosh Hashanah from the Heiligen Chofetz Chaim, he said, Reb Elchanan, that was exactly the same shir he gave last year. I remember the same shir he gave last year, word for word. Reb Elchanan said to him, "You're absolutely making a big mistake. There were 8 additional words this year. That's a Talmud. That's an emistic Talmud of someone because he listened. 8 extra words." I remember my Mashkech Orlovik telling us that a real Talmud can hear the same shmooze from his Rebbe year after year or time after time. And it's not like, he said that already, so I know that already. It's how he said it, each time with a different idea, each time with a different, speech and concentration and kavanah and whatever it may be. So that's a real Talmud in that case. Moving on, Rabbi Say, let's go to just one last thing, also interesting. The main Asib brings down that the word oizen, which of course is ear, is related to moznaim, which is scales, right? Which means a person should be very careful to balance out what he hears. That's also very, very important. Okay, Reb Chaim Shmulevitz once said that there's no doubt that Rebbe Lezer, when the Gemara tells us, for example, Rebbe Lezer tells us in Avos Reb Nosson, Rebbe Lezer ben Hurkana said that I never ever, Gemara in Sukkah says this, Chof Chesom at base. The Gemara says that Rebbe Lezer ben Hurkana said, I never said anything that I didn't hear from my Rebbe. Can you imagine? I never said anything that I didn't hear from my Rebbe. So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz explaining this Gemara in Sukkah explains that, you think Rebbe Lezer didn't say any Chedushim? Of course he said Chedushim. You think he just repeated his Rebbe's sayings? No way. He said his Chedushim, but he understood what his Rebbe would have said. And that's a real Talmud, and that means you listened with your ear, real. And that's a very important thing the Mishnah is telling us over here. Let's move on, Rabbi Isai. Okay, so the next Kinyan Torah that the Mishnah tells us over here is Ba'arichas Fosayim, to articulate properly the expression of your mouth, which means to say it over in the correct way. Chazal tell us that if you find the Talmud that finds it hard to learn, It means because the Torah is not organized well in his mind. The Gemara in Tanya stuff Chesam and Aleph, which means that if a person is constantly reviewing something and he really understands it, he's able to say it over. The Gemara Super stuff Nun tells us it's Ki'ilu Munach Bekis, it's like in the pocket, it's like in his wallet. And therefore, when a person is able to repeat over something, generally that also means that he has the ability to actually fully understand it. And that means the Mishnah over here is telling us to retain Torah, it means we have to verbalize it. The Gemara in Eruvin says if you learn Torah, you're meant to say it out loud. You're meant to speak it out, you're meant to hear what it is when you're learning. When you silently study, when you silently learn, that's inadequate. That's not good enough, and you're not going to remember your learning in that case. The last one I want to do over here is, in this Mishnah that we're talking about, is Bebinas Halev, Besichlos Halev. Right, with the understanding of your heart, right? That's pretty much what we're saying. The understanding of your heart is very important. That means a person can only really articulate something that he fully understands, right, in his heart, what's going on over there, which is interesting, by the way, because understanding generally says in the head, not in the heart. Heart is really the place of the emotions, but it basically means that when a person who learns pays attention to what he's learning and he examines all sides and he really asks questions and he wants to understand and he delves deeper, then it means it goes into his heart in that case. The Tiferes Yisrael over here in the Mishnah says, when the Mishnah says, Bina Salev, the kavana is to think about that which you heard. Meaning we just talk about the mile of hearing, but now you've got to think about that which you heard to go and put it deeper into your heart. And the Girs over here, he says, Tiferes Yisrael is Sichlos Halev. That's the Tiferes Yisrael. Some people say Sichlos Halev. It means that you have to understand the depth of what you're saying. And there's a Maisa he brings from Reb Chaim Brisker. There was a Bacha, was a huge masmid. He finished Shas many, many times. So he was still in Amoritz. He remained in Amoritz. So Reb Chaim said that, a person can learn and learn and learn and learn, but he has no time to think about what he learns. And that's what person is what telling us, the Mishnah is over here, telling us that Kinyonei Torah, one of the Kinyonei Torah, means to be mispoining, to think about what you learn, to penetrate inside you, to go inside your heart. But as Hashem, sometime soon, we shall be continuing on a bit of a break as a Yom Tov. We're going to, Be'ez Hashem, finish off this Mishnah.